Hey, it's Boiler Williams. Let's talk about your credit report and bankruptcy on there. Specifically today, let's talk about whether you can remove bankruptcy from your credit report. Let's talk about that now. So bankruptcy on your credit report is a killer, right? Everybody knows that. It should be a killer, if you believe in the whole system, but I don't quite believe in the whole system. So let's talk about what you need to do to get credit repair done on your credit report if you have bankruptcy. So I would suggest to you that there's 3 things that you need to do. Let me discuss each of these 3 things at a super high level. And then if you want more information, please go to my training below. It's very reasonable considering what this bankruptcy is costing you and having bad credit, because bad credit is very expensive. So let's talk about it at a super high level. I'll give you my list of 3 things to do. Let's talk about bankruptcy and the 3 things that you need to do to get this off of your credit report. The 3 things that you must do, I'm going to talk about at a super high level here, and then I'm going to come back and add a little bit of meat to it. So the first thing you need to do is to freeze your LexisNexis account. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a sec. You need to dispute. You need to know how to dispute things on your credit report. If you don't know how to do that, you can take my class and it'll go through the dispute process. And then after you've disputed it, if it still doesn't come off your credit report, you need to position yourself to enforce what you've done. So if it doesn't come off, you need to be able to do something to get it to come off. So there's a second step in there, and that's enforcing what you've done. Bankruptcy is not like most debts on your credit report. It's a record of a legal proceeding and not a financial debt. So, if you owe Chase Bank $4,000 and it's on your credit report, that should represent a debt. And bankruptcy, it just represents that you filed bankruptcy. So it's a little bit different, and it needs to be handled a little bit differently. Like I just explained, it was adjudicated. So it's a record of something that was adjudicated and not a debt. It should go without saying that you've never borrowed money from the courts, I don't think. Bankruptcy has a different path to ending up on your credit report. So that's one of the things that you need to consider is if you have a issue with Chase Bank, that information comes to the credit bureaus, usually directly from Chase Bank, where it's a little bit different with bankruptcies. So bankruptcies are done in federal court. Some of the debt settlements and stuff are done in different courts, but at the highest level, bankruptcies are in federal court. You can look up bankruptcies on the federal court system, and the federal court system is called PACER. And you can go to pacer.gov on the internet and look up bankruptcies. You can look up your bankruptcy. It should be on there. If it's not, congratulations. That's going to be pretty hard to verify if there's no record of your bankruptcy, but I've never seen that happen. All bankruptcies should be on PACER. Between PACER and the credit reporting agencies, there's a middleman. So the court systems do not report directly to the credit reporting agencies. The middleman is a for-profit company called LexisNexis. So what I'm going to explain to you is the process that's been used over the years and has been the most effective process that we've found. This process has been done many, many times. I would guess that it's been done thousands of times, but this is the most effective process that there is. First thing to do is make sure that your bankruptcy has been discharged at least 3 months prior to starting this procedure. If not, wait. Prepare yourself for when it is 6 months away. So the first thing you need to do after your discharge of your bankruptcy is to put a security freeze on your LexisNexis account. So the next thing a lot of people do is they send a letter to the courthouse. That would be the federal courthouse, and they put in an envelope, a return envelope that's got to you from the court with a stamp on it, so that the court doesn't have any reason not to reply. And that's kind of normal when you send stuff into the court, to give them an envelope with postage on it for them to reply. And this letter asks them, if they report to third parties such as LexisNexis. Wow, that's going to be a tongue twister for me this whole presentation. I can tell that right now. So LexisNexis, do they report to third parties such as LexisNexis? So they should send you a letter back that says, no, they don't report to any third parties. So that's the federal court that you send it to. A lot of confusion about that. Nobody really explains to you. That needs to go to the federal court. You could call the court clerk and get information if you need it on how to document that they don't report to a third party. Could you bring in a letter and have them sign it on the spot? Those type of things. And I've called the federal courthouse here in Denver, the clerk, probably 50 or 60 times in my life. And I got to tell you, it sounds intimidating, but my experience with the courthouse here in Denver is that they're wonderful people that just want to help, and couldn't ask more from them. It's kind of different than the local courthouse. If you go to the local courthouse, I think they're mean. I think those are some mean people that work here in my county, in Adams County, Colorado. But federal courthouse is a lot different. So think about that letter. That might be something that you want to present as evidence later. So dispute information that can be cross-referenced with the CRA. So on the CRA, there's a section that has your name and addresses. Get rid of all the old stuff on there. If you used to live on some street, dispute that you live there. And I wouldn't say that you lived there in the past tense. I would say currently. So I would say, I do not live there. Please remove it from my credit report. So what you're doing is you're eliminating things that can be cross-referenced. This is good for all debts, but it's especially important for bankruptcy because LexisNexis doesn't get your social security number when they get the information from the courthouse. They get your name and address. So if your name is different or your address is different, then it's very hard to verify the information. So think about what could be cross-referenced. In any event, you should be clearing out your name, old names, and old addresses from your credit report anyhow. So that's a big step to do that most people skip. So after you've done that, you've got rid of all the names that you need to on your credit report, file a normal dispute with the CRA, asking them to verify this information, and nothing special about it. Just send it in. As we discuss in my class, this is a very simple dispute. Don't make this one too fancy and don't overthink it. There's a simple remedy if that doesn't work. So if it comes back verified, you have remedies, okay? A lot of people don't talk about the remedies. They just say that the dispute will work, and if it doesn't work, just try again and try again. Yeah, try the dispute a couple times. If you go beyond 3 disputes and it doesn't come off, then you need to change your plan, or you need to seek your remedy. So the first remedy is quite simple. So you can file a complaint with a CFPB. Go to the CFPB online, the Consumer Financial Bureau, and filing a complaint is pretty straightforward. File a complaint, put all your documentation attached to the complaint. So, if you do have a letter from the courthouse, this is where it would come in, where you can prove that this information wasn't verified because your LexisNexis account is frozen and the court doesn't provide information to anybody other than LexisNexis. So that's the first remedy. That one will usually work. The second one is to file a case in small claims court. So small claims court is a state court, and it is designed for normal people to be able to go in there and get their legal remedy. So if you have all of the documentation that we just discussed, you should be able to go into small claims against a credit reporting agency and force them to remove it. The small claims courts are different for every state and different for every county within your state. So, you could probably look up your county online, and there's probably a document or a web page that explains exactly how to file a small claims court proceeding and get that going. So there you've seen the list of 3 things to do. The main thing to do is to take action. You can know everything in the world there is to know, but if you don't do anything with it, it doesn't really matter. So take action. What I would suggest to you is to take those things you just learned, buy my course. It's very reasonable. The link's down below. Get the course. I put my heart and soul into that course. I wanted to train as many people how to do credit repair as possible. So check out my inexpensive course. It's inexpensive, but it's good. So check it out. Happy credit repairing. Thanks.